much. We are back for a special episode of, not a happy episode like it was after the Alabama game by any means, but me and Steve have so much stuff to talk about. I didn't think we could fit it all into our Wednesday night pod. So he messaged me and said, "You want to do a post game one?" And I said, "Absolutely," because I think people on Twitter are ready for me to maybe air my grievances out because I won't quit talking crap on Twitter. So, but no, we'll start off. Steve was at the game. God help him. So I'll let him start and just kind of go over what all his experience was, man.
Sure. Well, before we start Sooner Festivus and start airing all of our grievances, do want to give a report. First off, I got lots of texts from some friends. Did I survive? Yes, survived last night. Do want to report that had a great time at LSU. It's a beautiful campus. Seeing Mike the Tiger was really cool. The architecture on campus, the live oak trees, all that stuff is awesome. The tailgating scene is great, and I do want to talk just a moment. This is kind of I'm going to geek out for just a minute here, but the parking situation at LSU is so vastly superior to OU's. It is unbelievable. I parked for free, and Jeremy knows how important that is for me. Okay, Jeremy has been with me where I will drive everywhere to try to find $10 parking because that was kind of my max back in the day. But parking was free when it's lit. We parked out by the baseball field, nice baseball facility. Lots of police around, made everything really easy getting in. Walking to the stadium was really easy as well. Everything was really well lit. And then after the game, as we were walking in with our heads down, walking out of that stadium, really easy to get there. Did not sit in traffic at all. Constant moving traffic the entire time. Was back to the hotel really quick. So kudos to the Baton Rouge Police Department. Kudos to LSU Game Day for that. Do want to just throw out there too, while it was a really cool atmosphere and calling Baton Rouge was really cool to hear there. Started the fourth quarter. And I realize it's Thanksgiving weekend. I realize they haven't had the greatest season, but it was not that intimidating of an atmosphere. It was fun. People were nice, honestly, for the most part. Now, I will say one of the funnier stories is right as soon as we got out of the car, out of the van, we were walking there, and about an 8-year-old was like, "Tiger bait, tiger bait," and pointed at us and that sort of thing. Another thing that I thought was LSU quirky was after the game, in the hot summer games at OU, they've always got people just selling water bottles out of a cooler. People were selling beer and hard liquor out of coolers after the game as you walk to your car. So nothing like, getting a couple of shots before you drive home. But all in all, like I said, everybody was really nice. Everything was really cool. But I will not stand, number one. I'm someone who have ripped the OU students for not showing up early and not filling up when they need to. And I know OU fans, this was a night game against Temple. We would be ticked off if the students didn't fill it up. They didn't fill it up last night. It was not full in the student area. Their in-game experience as far as videos and all those sorts of in-game experiences, the stats, the replays, all that stuff, nowhere near OU standards. No, here's scores from around. Didn't do a great job of that. They did kind of show some tweets sometimes, but it was so small that you couldn't really see it. So great experience. Definitely want to try to go to one SEC road game at least every year to kind of get these stadiums checked off as I go. But do just want to say I left that with respect for LSU. The fans now was neck played. Was I told to suck that tiger? You know what? Yes, I was. Okay. And it's definitely a more vulgar fan base, but a very friendly fan base. And they were all happy for us to be there. And all in all, just a positive experience as far as the game day atmosphere and all that stuff goes. If you get a chance to go back in a couple of years, go there. Hopefully it is a night game again. Hopefully both teams are better next time and it's a better experience. But that's just my Goss from the road experience before we get on there.
Well, do you want me? To get started on this?
Sure, Jeremy. The floor is yours. People have heard me talk for 3 or 4 minutes here, so why don't you go, and then when you need to take a breath, I'll go, and let's just talk strictly that live abortion that was a football game last night.
Okay, so there are so many. I don't even know where to start. Like, it's so funny, we go through, Steve's at the game, so like he's not going to respond to most texts, but like I don't respond a whole lot during games to our friends, but like last night, I think it's just because I didn't understand our game plan. And you want to know what the frustration, not only from the OC situation, but also to BV is the inconsistency from week to week on your game plan. Like, we knew what LSU was going to do. LSU was going to force us to throw the football. And they did. They stacked the line. We
throw it beyond the line of scrimmage, Jeremy. We need to make that too, because there were more passes thrown behind the line of scrimmage than there were down the field yesterday.
Yeah. And then we throw one deep pass to Hester. And guys, I understand the whole, well, he doesn't have any time to throw. Guys, it was evident the guy doesn't have anybody to throw to. I understand that. But we got at the end of the game when the game was pretty much over. Why not take chances? Why not throw into some double coverage?
Speaking of taking chances, what are your thoughts there right before half? In stadium, we're down 7. We get the ball back there. Just a back-breaking, great throw from Nussmeier. I always thought Bowen was in good coverage there for that touchdown right before half. And, we're down 7, 24, 26, whatever seconds it was. We've got 2 timeouts. And we just kind of, run right up the gut and let time go out. I mean, was that something you had a problem with? Were you okay with us doing that? What were your thoughts on just kind of packing it in right there?
Not with 2 timeouts. I thought maybe take one chance and see what we get. Now, that said, would it have changed anything? Probably not, but at least make us feel better. Like, at this point, what are we playing for? And I guess that's kind of my frustration is, like, it seemed like on the defensive side of the ball, we didn't want to put pressure on anybody. Mm-hmm. And then we give about a 10-yard cushion. You remember when we played Baylor years ago when Mike Stoops still our D coordinator, and we just played cushion, and God, I forgot the quarterback's name, slipping my mind, but he just
Johnny Bohannon, I think. Yeah.
No, it was before him.
Okay.
I can't remember, but it'll come to me after this pod's over. But we kept doing hitch routes.
Yeah.
And they did it for about 80 yards down the field and scored, and people were booing him out of the stadium because it's like, how do you not know what they're doing? And Nussmeier knew that, like, we weren't going to pressure. We just thought our front four was going to get all the pressure. Like, why not send blitzes at him?
Yeah, it was, and even watching it live, don't get me wrong. Watching it live, I was very impressed with LSU's offensive line. They did a really good job of creating a good pocket for him. But something that Nussmeier did a really good job of is, and this is something that we would hope Jackson, and this goes back to Jackson seeing ghosts, or whatever you want to do. And I'm not going to spend a lot of time griping about Jackson here. And I think we've kind of had that deal. But Nussmeier did a really good job of stepping up in the pocket and making those plays down the field. And even when the pocket would collapse a little bit, it's like we were really bad on third down. I know at one point it got to be they were 6 for 12. In stadium was just kind of keeping track of that. And to me, the defense just looked a little lifeless. I think it was Brent that said it looked like we had 3 different completely different units out there, where we talked about last week how we played complementary football, where we had a full game plan, and offense was complementing the defense and that sort of thing. We just didn't see that yesterday, and it was pretty lifeless as far as other than our Mason Thomas making the play where in stadium it looked like that that Nussmeier like separated his shoulder or something, but I guess they Bud Kilmered him over there and shot him up and got him back in there because we know Brian Kelly literally does not care, and so
Yeah.
he'll.
Let me touch base on that because
Yeah.
obviously don't drug test after this game for
Yeah.
them. But where do you find a training staff? Can we get a training staff like that in
Right.
the portal?
Where
Because at this point, like every single person that gets hurt for us never
it's
comes
done.
back.
I mean,
This
I still
kid
don't
basically
understand.
either separated his AC joint or has a broken collarbone. I'm waiting for that to come out today. Like he broke his
Yes.
collarbone. He finished that game. I literally told my wife last night. I said, "Well, he can't throw the ball down the field, so he's obviously a decoy." Because the dude couldn't even raise his arm up. So
Well, and
how
it was
does this
crazy
happen?
because I felt like once he got hurt, kind of some positive things happened. We get that, and the kick return was just a giant kick in the nuts. I mean, it
Mm-hmm.
was that was the biggest play. It was kind of a sleepy crowd before that, and that did invigorate the crowd there. And I thought, that play and the player up for half were just huge. But what a switch it was! I actually had the conversation with Reed, who was right beside me. And I said, look, man, I was like, we get to stop right here, that backup quarterback in. I think we can put some distance between us here, and then we can really get settled in. And, just once again, this goes back to, I think, and I saw this in our group text earlier, and we said this from the beginning on this pod. Every time we take a step in the BV era, we take a step back. And if you go back to, remember a couple of years ago when we went up to Nebraska? Nebraska's not any good. I don't mean that. Remember when we went up to Nebraska and we won, and then we came back and lost what, 2-3 straight games?
Mm-hmm.
And last year we beat Texas, and then we almost come back and lose to UCF the next week.
Yeah.
And it was a bad UCF team. And I remember being in the stadium for that thinking, my God, this isn't a team I watched at Texas. Yeah. And the ever optimist that is our friend Darren said he wasn't surprised yesterday. Well, no, Darren, none of us were surprised because this team has consistently shown us they cannot be consistent. They are consistently inconsistent. Mm-hmm. And that's the thing that BV has to fix. The things that are, correct the correctables. The correctables are that anyone in the world think when we took that timeout, when we had to take a timeout there in third down in the second half, and we came back, did anybody in America think we were getting that? No, they didn't. We knew that. That's just a bad use of timeouts. We had to use a timeout at the start of a quarter. That's a bad use of a timeout. Mm-hmm. No, we all knew that wasn't going to work. We all knew, oh, dear God, we threw it in the back. We threw it in the backfield to Bauer Sharp. Oh, freaking crap, he's going to throw it. He's going to throw it. And we saw what happened there. Okay, quick Bauer Sharp story, and we'll go back to you, Jeremy, but I'm sitting there. We're walking around the stadium yesterday, and this really nice couple comes up. It's obviously like a grandma and a grandpa with two younger kids. And I start talking to her. We're watching the OU team come off the bus. She's like, oh, yeah, my grandson plays. My grandson, Bauer. Do you know who Bauer is? And I'm like, yeah.
You don't listen to pods, do you?
And I'm like, hopefully you don't listen to the pod. But I felt really bad until that play that of like all the bad things I've said about Bauer. And, here's a cat, and this is where I had lunch before. This was a cat playing at Southeastern Louisiana State before that. Mm-hmm. And we're asking him to go make plays in the swamp at night. I mean, not the swamp, at Death Valley at night. I mean, that's not going to happen. It didn't happen. But anyway, I'm rambling a little bit just to say we have to learn to correct the correctables. Number one thing we've got to do, Jeremy, we got to get better players. We got to get better players. We don't have good enough players. We don't. Mm-hmm. We don't. And until we spend money to get better players, once again, being in stadium, our stadium is nicer than LSU's are. Mm-hmm. Other than the bathrooms, there was nothing I went to in that stadium that was nicer than what's nicer at the Palace. Nothing. We got to spend money on players.
Yeah. And I'll get to basically what to expect now. Like we have one more bowl game. I don't know how many people are going to play in this sucker, but that said, like, be prepared. There's going to be some surprises. That's hit the portal. There's already been a surprise for Georgia hit the portal. So, I mean, we just have to get ready for that. There's going to be guys that leave, either being told to leave or just make that decision. I think Jackson's going to be gone. I would be shocked if he is playing in the bowl game. I feel like it's good for both of us to go our separate ways. We both need new starts. And if Murray leaves, which I do anticipate him leaving, whatever OC comes, then I think Tatum's with him, if you want my honest opinion. But there's just so many things that we need to build on for next year that does the OC fix it? Maybe, I don't know. But I was so excited after the Alabama game that we had some stuff we were growing on. I was like, okay, look at Xavier Robinson. Look at the way Jackson's running. Jackson stays. We've got a little aspect of our game that we might bring a new OC in, maybe give him a little more confidence, give him a full offseason to work with Johns. All this stuff I get happy about, and then I see us put that out. And the Bauer Sharp pass, I thought there's no way he's just going to throw that ball up in the air. And when he did, I put this on Twitter with Tattoo Baker earlier. It reminded me of, all right, let's do this. Leroy Jenkins. That's what it looked like.
Right.
Just throw that ball up in the air and pray to God it lands. Well, it did land right into the LSU guy's hands. So I don't know where you go from here. There's not a whole lot of science. Like you said, we have to spend the money.
It's a reset, Jeremy. I mean, like, how many times back in our day did we rage quit playing something? Or we started simulating a season in college football and we lost a stupid game, so me and you restarted. Okay? Yeah. We did. It's a restart time. And I'm not a restart. I don't want to fire Brent Venables. I don't know who we're going to get any better. Like, no. Like, don't do that. Keep Bill Bedenbaugh. It's really hard to build an offensive line. Our offensive line is trending in the right direction. I'm all good with that. But we have got to go get skill players on offense. Have to go get them. Our tight end room is a joke. It's an absolute joke. And I don't mean that just as a shot on Bauer, but we got a guy from Southeast Louisiana and a backup from Baylor are the two guys we are throwing out there. Yeah. And, how immature was Davion Mitchell? I don't know, but hopefully we can see him in a bowl game. But you know what? I do think that's probably the last game Joe John's going to be at OU. Who knows what that's going to look like? Don't be shocked if Casey Thompson's not your quarterback for the bowl game. Don't be shocked if both of our quarterbacks are not in the portal at this point. But I'm okay with all of that. I mean, we've got to do better on our selections. We went out and got Deion Burks like really early on in the portal season. We paid good money for Deion Burks. Deion Burks will not be back at Oklahoma. If he is, I'll be very, very, very surprised. But that's a guy who I do not think is going to be back at Oklahoma. That's a guy that we wanted. We went and got. We misidentified. You can say it's bad luck of him being hurt and all that, but we misidentified. We didn't need another player that was so similar skilled to other players that we have. We've got to go get dudes at different positions. We've got to go spend money, and we've got to do a better job of identifying. We didn't do a very good job of identifying in the portal season this time. And you know what? I think part of the issue is if you go out and you're trying to plug holes and you think I've got the main cogs and I just want to plug holes, maybe that's harder. Right now, we've got to rebuild entire things, and maybe that's easier. Maybe it's easier to say to somebody, hey, come, you're going to be the dude.
Yeah. And I think it all started going south for us when Jaden Gibson got hurt.
Oh, 100%.
I don't think we realized how big of a part of our offense.
Literally and figuratively. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, what did we need? Guys to go up and get the ball. Who are the two guys that go up and get the ball? Jaden Gibson, Nick Anderson. Those are your two guys.
How many catches do they have this season? Same as me and you, right?
Yeah. Big old goose egg. And not to mention, you want to know the most demoralizing thing is that Deion Burks played how many games this season? 3, 2?
Yeah.
Shoot, I don't know.
Yeah.
That shows you how much of impact he made. But he led our team in receiving touchdowns.
And he did that in the first quarter of the first game.
Some of our D.D. Westbrook had more yards
in multiple games than Sharp did this season as our leading receiver. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So there are just, I don't know, so many things that I don't even know where to start. So you guys notice my voice is kind of going in.
It's control. I'm sitting here on the computer. It's Control Alt Delete. Especially on the offensive side. It's reset time, and I'm okay with it. I really am. I am not. It was kind of like getting in the car yesterday, and I'm driving the family away, and they're kind of waiting for me to blow up. And I'm like, guys, I'm frustrated, but I'm not mad. I am more happy this season's over than I am sad about how anything was. This was not a news thing. It wasn't. Last week was not a fix. It was great. It was great that it happened, and that's a blueprint going forward to the kind of football we need to play. And I don't know if we want to get into this, that much today, but kind of the tea leaves. And I'll let you talk a little more about this. I think you'll probably want to talk a little more about this specifically, but the kind of the tea leaves I'm reading right now is that maybe Buster Faulkner might be leader in the clubhouse as far as who our offensive coordinator is. I do think BV knows who that person is. And I'm fine with that. I watched that 8 overtime Georgia Tech Georgia game. I'm fine with that. I'm fine with a guy from the Deep South who has been in Texas and has been in the Deep South. Those are the two areas we've got to recruit to go win. I'm fine with that. Maybe he brings Haynes Kings with him. Maybe he doesn't. He's been an OC. He's the OC. He's the tight end coach. I'm good with all that. I had someone text me before we got on. Oh, well, Neil Brown got fired. Think we're going to go hire him? No, I don't. I do think this is something that was done. And, we had the Cap on our pod the other day. And Jeremy said this. Jeremy probably say some more. Guys, we appreciate him coming on. We appreciate every guest that we do have on. But when we have a guest on, we are just here as a platform for them. We are not promoting their ideas. We're not, any of that sort of thing. And we're not trying to get in Twitter beef wars with anybody. We're just trying to have an outlet for information to get out. And that's what we did with Matt. And whether that was good or bad information, we don't know. But we're going to find out. And Jeremy, I'll let you talk a little more about that.
Yeah, I think we're going to find out probably tomorrow morning, to be honest with you. This is my opinion on it. And like me and Steve have said many times, we are fans. We don't have sources. I have people that talk to me. I don't ever take them as sources. But I do think Arbuckle was the guy. I do think that they were ready for him. They just didn't have anything in writing, anything signed. And I think they went south on it. I think they decided to take another route. I do think that's Faulkner, but I would keep an eye on Marion from UNLV. I think he is still in play. I just have heard some smoke around that name, but I wouldn't have a problem with that. Somebody said a while ago, they said, well, UNLV quarterback better not do the same thing. If he comes to OU, better not do the same thing he did at UNLV. I said, well, he's probably got a million reasons not to if he does. So I don't think he would be leaving, but Marion's a risk. Faulkner, I think's offense fits a lot better for the SEC. But I don't know.
Don't you just think, though? I'm concerned about who the OC is. I think it's important, but we don't need. I'd love to find the next Lincoln Riley offensively. Would love to find that. Would love to be awesome. Would love to talk about our quarterback in the Heisman hunt every year and all that stuff. But guess how many national championships we won with that? Okay. We didn't win any. Okay. Mm-hmm. How we win big, which is what this program's about. It is. And I had an LSU guy behind me yesterday who was giving us like slight crap. He kind of ticked my wife off a couple of times, but it's kind of those things. You don't have a whole lot of crap to talk to LSU because they've kind of taken it to us. And, the only thing I can go over them is we have more national championships than they do. And that's what I want to do. I want to add that. I want number 8. And the best way for us to get to 8 is continue to let BV get the defense better. And anyone that doesn't think the defense is better doesn't understand football. Yeah. Okay, they don't. Yeah. And was our defense bad yesterday? You bet it was. But guys, that contest, a couple of those that first catch on Eli Bowen was an amazing catch. It was. And we've got to get better pressure where we're not letting people throw balls 40, 50 yards down the air. But our defense gets exhausted from trying to be perfect. I was really frustrated with the long run we gave up there to Durham when the backup quarterback was in. Those things bother me. And I get all that. But we don't need an offensive coordinator to score 40 points. If we go and we get somebody and we are 35th in offense next year, we're going to be a top 10 team. Because, guys, we're not, and I hate to say this, sound like Lincoln Riley here, we're not that far. We're not. And I know some people are going to like mute me and be like, are you crazy, Goss? You must have drank some of the Cajun juice when you were down there. Guys, we are not. We are not that far. We just aren't. And, Texas, I watched that game. I was there, for that first quarter of the Texas game before we just decided to go stupid in the second quarter. We're in the game with Texas. And Texas is going to, is in the SEC championship game. We're not that far, guys. We need better players. We need a little bit better luck. And we just need to calm down, donate money to the collective if you can, and let's get some dudes in here. And I'm telling you, it's going to be okay. It is. It's going to be okay.
And like you just said, we're not going to get the next Lincoln Riley. We don't need Lincoln. Like Lincoln Riley's offense would not fit what we're doing right now.
No, we need to
our defense would not
look.
Our defense would not look any good because they'd be on the field all the time. There's a reason why those defenses never succeeded. They didn't have the players. Second off, they were on the field a lot. Yeah, we were putting 50, 60 points a game. But that said, our defense on the football field, Faulkner's offense, if you watch the Georgia Tech game, is a lot of window dressing on his runs, a lot of quarterback runs, RPOs, but he's got window dressing on it. So, it's ball control offense. That's what we need. That's why I said I don't know if Arbuckle's offense is going to work. And that might be one reason that they were like, you know what, maybe his offense isn't going to fit what we're doing as a defense. Because, guys, I don't care what you say, we are a defensive team. We have to build an offense to complement our defense.
And I will gladly start a donation pile for – we need to make sure our Mason Thomas comes back next year. And I don't know what collective, how that works. Probably Gabe and Teddy will have a better, not trying to promote another pod, but they're going to have a better idea on that stuff than like that, two non-millionaire podcast hosts that Jeremy and I are here. But we need him back, and we need to make sure we pay to get him back because, the defense is there. It just needs a little tweaking here and there. Maybe another big corner, maybe, some more, even more depth up front, maybe another edge rusher. Because, to me, we looked in at edge yesterday, and PJ limped on, he limped off. Hopefully that turns a corner, but we can't just put stock there. We need edges. We're losing, quite a bit there. So
PJ's probably done for all next year the way our staff is. So.
Yeah,
it wouldn't surprise me. But you can listen to BV after the game. I think I was complaining about him not blitzing and all this stuff, but I think I found out why he wasn't whenever they asked what he was going to go after in the portal. The first thing he said was DBs. So I don't think he trusts what he has at DB. Not to say Eli Bowen's good. He's a freshman. Gentry Williams can't stay on the football field. So.
No. Jeremy, that it goes back to, no offense to Xavier Robinson and Eli Bowen, love both those kids. I think they've got bright futures. When Brent was drawing up the season in his mind all last summer, those cats were not integral parts of a game at LSU in the last game of the year. They weren't. And and I saw some good flashes even from our secondary. Kobe Johnson goes and makes one really good play yesterday. But, Jacoby Johnson's a kid that it hurt him that we had to go put him on offense for a few weeks. Yeah, that hurts him. Okay. And that's a kid with a little bit of size. All of the attrition, like Jeremy said, that started with the Jaden Gibson injury, all that attrition trickles down. We were without our top 6 receivers yesterday. Nobody can withstand that. Nobody can. They just can't. And, that's why it goes. We've got to go get more players. we need to get this hire done now. I mean, hopefully by the time we're podding again on Wednesday, we have somebody. I think we will. But we've got to get this done now so we can get this fixed because, I could go here and tell you different things on my feelings on Jackson Arnold and whether I think that'll work or it doesn't work and all that. And, I went into this season as one of those guys expecting him to be one of the top 10, 15 quarterbacks in the country. But something the Alabama game taught me is we don't need to have a top 10 or 15 quarterback in the country. Mm-hmm. We need to have a quarterback who's going to take care of the football, make the throws that are there. And we need a guy that has a little more swag, a little more it to him than Jackson. And you can say the coaching staff bungled that. Maybe they scolded him so hard for turning the ball over in that bowl game that he was like, someone who trained a dog and whipped them too hard. And every time someone got to him, they whimpered over. Maybe that's what it is. I don't know. And that's why I think Jackson needs to go somewhere else where he can have better success there too. But we need somebody that we can rally behind with a little bit of, hey, I've got this. And we don't have an, hey, I've got this, guys. We don't have a hop on my back and let me go, guys. We don't. Mm-hmm. Do I think Xavier Robinson could be that in a couple of years, maybe even next year at running back? Maybe he could. But once again, who the crap knows who's going to get carries for us week to week anyway? Javonte Barnes warms up and is squirreling around. He's out there doing all sorts of stuff and play. I don't know, man. I don't understand.
Running backs need to know rotations. That's why Tawee Walker left. He said, I never knew where I was in the rotation. And, it's okay to have that many running backs, but sometimes you got to ride a horse. That's why I had no problem with Xavier Robinson getting all the carries because but then when they brought Sawchuk in, I'm like, Sawchuk's not
Jeremy, we didn't run the same run plays we ran last week. I mean, when we finally were like, you know what LSU struggles against? A running quarterback. And we run the 2 drives where we actually let Jackson run straight zone read, which we were good at the week before. We had sustained drives. And we've got a sustained drive, and you know what we think? Bauer time, baby. Bauer time.
You know what we haven't done? Bauer Sharp hasn't thrown a damn pass, has he? What's he done in the world? He's got an arm. He does have an arm. I'm like.
And do you know he used to play quarterback, Jeremy? Do you know that?
They're like, you know what? We're driving the ball down.
So did I at lunchtime, but, I don't think they're going to freaking call me down there. Be like, you know what, Goss? We heard about some of those good passes you made at the Warner Elementary School in freaking 5th grade. Nobody cares. I saw Kale in the stands yesterday, and I leaned over my brother-in-law, Mike, and was like, hey, there's Cale Gundy down there. And he's like, can he go put a headset on? I'm like, I freaking wish he could.
Yeah, and I'm so tired of people saying, we need to bring Kale back. Kale's done.
That's not happening, guys.
I hate to be the brunt of bad news. If you want Cale Gundy back, he will not be coming back. Well, let's end it on this just because I have to touch base on this because I watched this game on Friday and was in shock. OSU,
wow. Speaking of Gundys, yeah.
That's the only reason it reminded me of it. I don't think I've ever watched a team that has completely given up on a coach as much as that OSU team. And I won't we won't say an OSU pod, but I was just amazed that
it doesn't make sense.
The job. He does the job. So
as baffling as our situation is, I've always been one of those people who was just like, Mike Gundy's a great coach, guys. I've always before this season, I've been a guy who said that of I remember how bad the Bob Simmons years were at OSU and, the sustained success that they've had and doing it with. But you know what happened to Mike Gundy? In coaching, you either evolve or you die. And he didn't evolve, and he refused to evolve. And it was more important for him to stay being Mike Gundy than it was to continue being Mike Gundy, the great coach. And, to me, that's just what absolutely killed him. He didn't evolve with the times. It's just like old college basketball stuff. Jeremy knows I'm an old Bob Knight guy. Loved Bob Knight to death. God rest his soul. Bob refused to evolve. Okay. Coach K, who played for Bob, evolved. And so he had continued success. Now, there was a point in evolution with all this transfer portal NIL where Coach K couldn't evolve anymore either. But to me, that's what Mike just wouldn't refuse to do is refuse to evolve with the times. And they tried to be really smart with their hires This is kind of like what we did this year at OC. Like, oh no, we don't need to go out and look for an OC. We got one right here. Well, we did, and they don't either. But what other thoughts do you have on that OSU situation?
No, but it's just he's not going to get fired. But I've never seen a coach that knows that he's not going to get fired more than Mike Gundy. Like when he talks, just like he give two craps what you think about him. So I just had to bring that up before we get off here. But we wanted to kind of get on here, throw this pod together real quick, and go get our grievances out. We'll have another one on Wednesday. Give us I'm starting to lose my voice again.
Well, yeah, give us a 5-star review. Yep. Follow us on Apple. Follow us on YouTube. Follow us on Spotify if you can. Like Jeremy said, like, subscribe, all that stuff. Mm-hmm. Make comments, especially on YouTube. Those are easy for us to see. Those of you waiting for Sooner Hoops, we will hit on that on Wednesday as well. We wanted this to be a football grievances pod, but awesome job down in the Bahamas. Now, nobody came through. If Jeremy and I need to put our Venmos out there, we will. No one came through and sent us to Atlantis. But if you're still wanting to, to see Sooner Cast on the road, certainly we will get that information out there. But like Jeremy said, we'll talk to you on Wednesday.
Yeah, and also too, guys, if you're in the Norman area, go Tuesday nights, play Georgia Tech. I think that's going to be a great game. Need to support them. We deal with this every year. Every year, it's like nobody goes to basketball games. I get in arguments with guys on Twitter. Like, I love OU basketball. When me and Steve were at OU, we like going to basketball games almost as much as we like football games. But you have to put a winner out there. People are scared to support Porter right now because it's happened for the last now 3 years where we've had a very good non-conference. So go out there, support them. I think this team feels like they're a little different. But that said, it's we'll touch on
my fears. Buy stock now.
Yeah,
that's the more NIL stuff. Let's pay to keep that cat here too.
We'll touch base on that a little bit more on Wednesday. Hopefully, you're talking about a big win and a good crowd for Tuesday night. But
and a top 25 ranking, I think
we should be. Doesn't rankings come out tomorrow? Don't they?
I think so. Maybe tonight, if not tomorrow. I think. But yeah, that's good podcasting to spend the day. But yeah.
Yeah, I would think that they're probably. I mean, do you get them to 20? That 7-0. Those are 3
I said
good
22.
Wins.
22 was my guess. We'll see where we're at, but
I don't think anybody expected OU and Louisville to be in the Bahamas championship. But hey, we'll take it. So, all right, guys, till Wednesday. Thank you all for listening, and Boomer Sooner.
Boomer.